Okay, so welcome to the fifth lesson of our C++ learning program, which is basically the continuation of our expression in what statements. So I'll be introducing you to the iterative statements. You will also learn the various types of iterative statements. Practice on using iterative statements. So I'm going to teach you guys how you can practice by using the iterative statements. So let's look at the iterative statements. They are known as loops. They are also used to execute parts of code repeatedly based on condition or sets of conditions. So the condition may either be one or there may be a set. The iterative statements are also used for performing repetitive tasks efficiently. So with this, there are mainly three types of iteration statements. We have the for loop, we have the while loop, and then the do while loop. So the while, which is also a condition statement, the do statement, which is an expression. We have the for, that's for initial statement condition, and expression, which is also a statement. And then we have the for, that's the second for, that's for declaration, and then expression, which is also a statement. We have the for statement. So the for statement are used to iterate over a range of values or elements in a collection. So this is an example. We have for initial statement, loop condition, update statement, and then with this one you type in your statement. Sorry. And then it is also clear that a for statement is also useful for expressing a loop without an explicit termination condition, which means they omit all three statements, that's initial statement, the loop condition, and then the update statement. We have an example here. We have for into bracket 2 semicolon, and the double forward slash, and then forever run. So this is an example, and then this is the diagrammatic representation. So we first have our initial statement, the loop condition, then from the loop condition we come to the statement, the update statement, then back to the loop condition, and then false, that's for the loop or the for loop. So let's look at how the for loop works, or basically the for loop execution. So the for loop executes as follows. 1. The initial statement executes, and then secondly, the loop condition is evaluated. If the loop condition evaluates to true, then execute the for loop statement. Then secondly, execute the update statement, that's the third expression into parentheses. And then thirdly, it repeats the second step until the loop condition evaluates to false. The initial statement usually initializes a variable that's called for the for loop control, or for indexed, or the variable. So this is an example of a for loop statement. So we have for integer I equals 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, then C I and L. So let's look at the while loop statement. So the while loop executes as long as specifies condition evaluates towards true. A while statement executes its control statement until its condition what becomes false. So the while loop uh, is going to what execute its own statement until the condition becomes what false. So this is an example. And then statements can be simple or what compound. Expression acts as decision maker and is usually a logical expression. So we have the infinite loop. With that one, it continues to execute endlessly. Yes, it has no end. And then its end cannot be what defined or cannot be what determined, and then can be avoided by including statements in the loop body that assure exit condition will what eventually be what false. So as said earlier on, the while loop statement can what be avoided by including statements in the loop body that makes your exit condition what eventually be what false. So while loop statement. A while statement is also useful for expressing a loop without an explicit termination condition. So this is an example. We have the while into bracket true and then forever. So this is an example of what a while loop statement. So we have int I equals 0 while I less than 10, then see out I and L, then I plus plus. So we also have the do while statement. So a do while statement is similar to a while statement, except that the condition becomes or the condition comes after the body. So we have the do and then the statement and then the while, which it's what expression. We also have the do while loop statement. That's the combination of the do statement and the while loop. So this is an example. So let's look at what exiting from loops. That's when you've introduced the loops. This is how you can exit from the loop. So if the condition of an iteration statement is omitted, the loop will not terminate unless the user explicitly exit it by a break, return, go to, true, or some less obvious ways such as call or what the exit. So it means if you want to exit from a loop without or with you not introducing the iteration statements, the loop will not end unless you use a break, a return, a go to, or you call for an exit. A break, that's the break out of the nearest and closing switch statement or iteration statement. So the break will help you exit from the switch statement or the iteration statement. We use a break when we need to leave the loop body, that's in the middle. The break statement is used for two purposes, which are to exit early from a loop, to skip the remainder to the switch structure. So the break statement is purposely or basically used for two purposes. That's to exit early from a loop and then to skip the remainder of the switch structure. So this is basically how or the way in which we can exit from loop. sometimes we don't want to exit the loop completely. We just want to get the end of what the loop body. So it is not that we want to exit though the loop completely, but we just want to get to the end of the loop body. So we are trying to skip some parts to get to what the end of that loop body. A continue skips the rest of the body of an what iteration statement. So the continue is also going to make you what skip the rest of the body of an iteration statement. So when executed in a loop, it skips remaining statement M, proceed with the next iteration of the loop, and then we have the nested loops. So the nested loops are composition of loops. This could include the do while, the for loop, and then the while loop. So this is an example. So we have the nested control structures, and then this an example. We have int ij for I equals 1, I less or equal to 5, then I plus plus. So let's open our C++ program app, which is either your Visual Studio Code or your code blocks, and then let's key in this value. So I'm going to open my code blocks, clear the recent tags we did. Yes. So int I j, and then we terminate. Then we type in our for looping brackets I equals 1. Then we end that one. Then we have I less or equal to 5. Then we terminate that one too. And then we have I plus plus. So let's come to another line. Then we open braces. We type 4. J equals J equals 1. J less less or what equal to I. Terminate, and then we see J plus plus. Come to another line, then we type in C out. We open braces and then we key in the asterisk symbol or the asterisk operator. We type in another C out, then we end line. Okay, so there's an error with our code here, so let me clear this one first. The code, okay, so we did a mistake. We didn't end this line, we didn't terminate it, sorry. Yes, so let's bring another closing braces here. I think it should come down. Okay, yes, so this is going to be the output. Is going to be the output, so it could be seen clearly that it is in order. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and what 5. So that's for the loop. So this brings us to the end of today's lesson. Thank you.